Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 6th February 2021. In this video, we'll be discussing this couple of issues. Retail investors to get direct access to GSEC market. This is what RBI has said yesterday in its statement. Now let us have a brief look at the context in which this article is significant for our examination. We know that the formula of GDP is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. In this formula, we are talking about investments, that is I. Whenever we are talking about investments, there are private investments and government investments. And within the private, we have companies or registered entities, and then we have domestic household savings. Now in India, one of the most important factor that we have to consider when we are mobilizing resources for setting up any financial activity is this aspect of investment. In India, the traditional mode of investment is to invest only in banks, or either they invest in gold or real estate. So the scope of investing in markets and awareness of financial products is very low in our country, and because of this reason there is a serious mistrust when we look at markets. Just because of lack of awareness, there were certain middlemen who have tricked the system, and because of this reason a lot of people have been at loss. This loss of credibility and the fact that there are certain policy designs which discourage Aam Aadmi or the common men to invest in stock markets has been the primary driver of non participation of common public in financial markets. In order to bring a shift in this trend, RBI has come up with this new policy where it will allow retail investors to get direct access to GSEC market. If you have read the basics of financial markets, there are two types of markets, where primary market is a place where institutions like RBI directly deal with institutional investors, and then when these institutional investors reinvest in secondary markets, retailers or common men, to understand it in a very simple language, buy them in secondary markets for a profit. So this is where most of the retail trade happens whenever we're talking about securities. Now, the logic behind this structural reform. What do you mean by structural reform? We know that for investment and economic activity in our country, we have to look at certain factors of production. So, these factors of production are land, labor, capital. So, whenever we're talking about capital, it is one of the factor for production, and therefore any changes that happen in the policy matters with respect to any of these factors of production are called structural changes. So this will significantly impact the cost of borrowing for the government. Let me explain how. For example, let us take the case of State Bank of India and compare this with any private bank. If you ask a common man his perception towards what is considered to be safe, in every likelihood the answer would be SBI is considered to be more safe. There is a simple logic that goes behind this. It is simply because SBI has government backing, and even in a case of failure, they know for a fact that government will bail out and that their money is going to be safe. You can't say the same thing when compared with private banks. So this mistrust in banking system has plagued the Indian economy for a very long time. The private banks have struggled to gain that customer confidence in the longer run. So the regulatory structure has been tilted towards encouraging this public sector banks. Over a period of time, this has changed, and that is the reason why we have seen a growth in private banking. Private banking has also brought with it certain amount of efficiency in the system as well. Using the same logic, if you consider a debt instrument, whether it is the government security or some bond that is given by a private company. So, in every likelihood, a normal investor would choose a GSEC because it is a safe instrument. Now, unless and until you have a deep awareness about the financial position of this company, and you are informed enough to take a decision onto whether you should invest in this particular company or not, you would not be doing it. There is severe lack of confidence. For a layman, always a GSEC is considered to be safe. However, retail investors or common man are completely barred from directly procuring from the primary market. Now, RBI has something called eKuber. eKuber is the platform on which RBI, on behalf of government, issues government securities to primary market players. In this primary market, till now, common men or retail investors were not allowed. The reason being, the cost of tracking that is very high given the fact that we don't have the kind of volume. Until recently, there were very few retail investors or individual persons who can compete with the institutional investors to gain an edge in the market. Now, because of the fact that this situation has changed right now, there is a growing scenario of awareness of financial products. More and more people are attracted towards the markets and they're looking at government securities as an option. Quite obviously, this is because most of these new entrants into the market would prefer investing in government securities. Now, we have a situation where the government has been forced to raise its fiscal deficit to 9.5% of the GDP straight away from 4 to 5%. This is the case because of the prevailing pandemic situation, and we were forced to increase our expenditure to ensure that economic growth stays on track. In this context, let us understand the logic. Say, in normal times, what happens is whenever government through RBI places this government securities, there would be more than one player who is willing to take this government security. Now, what happens? Say one, two, three. There are three players who are interested in getting this government security. So, since there is a limited amount of government securities, what happens is an auction will be conducted. And in this auction, the person who would be bidding for government security with the lowest interest would be getting this government security. Now, what happens if more and more number of people are involved in this competition? Naturally, the interest rates come down. As a result, what happens is the cost of borrowing for government will significantly come down. If, say, for example, if the bond paper previously was around 5 to 6%, with increased competition and entry of retail investors, the percentage might even come down to 3 to 4%, which is considered to be very beneficial for the government. This is just for an example, not the exact number. Even a minute change in the volume of the interest will save significant amount for the national exchequer. It is because of this reason, to reduce the cost of borrowing for the government and also to finance the national infrastructure pipeline that is coming up, which requires nearly 102 lakh crores for incremental growth somewhere down the line in the future, RBI has taken this step. So that is the gist of this article. Valuing trees. This article is in the context of the debate that follows when we talk about economic development. So, economy versus environment is a perennial debate in our syllabus, and we are always struggling to switch between the two sides. The key to handling all these sort of issues is to sort of balance both economy and environment, because one cannot come at the cost of another. Both are equally important, and it is important to find that middle path. In this article, we will be discussing as to how Supreme Court has invited comments of the center as well as West Bengal government with respect to a valuation arrived at by a committee with respect to certain trees which are known as heritage trees. Now, before this, we have to understand a concept in our environment and ecology syllabus, and it is called ecosystem services. Whenever we are looking at environment, we should not be looking at it through the lens of just economic activity. In fact, our environment and the ecosystem in which we are located defines how we live. So, ecosystem services include not just the commercial value but also have certain ecological value. They also have certain intangible services in the form of providing food, fresh air, oxygen, etc. So, all these ecosystem services would be immediately taken away when we're talking about tree felling. So, because of this reason, uh, there was a committee set up by the central government recently to look into an issue where West Bengal government has actually fell a lot of trees for a developmental project. As a part of that, the committee came up with a valuation of 74,000 rupees per tree multiplied by age. So there are certain trees which are more than 100-year old, and the total cost as a compensation for this activity taken up by the West Bengal government has been pegged at 220 crore rupees. Now, at this cost, the Supreme Court felt that most of the governments would turn bankrupt, and there is a need for rationalization of this particular value. Now, though this statement by Supreme Court is okay, the key takeaway here is the fact that finally we have realized that we should no longer be taking the deadwood approach when we are talking about trees. Till now, whether it is in the Forest Conservation Act or whether it is the Forest Act of 1865 and which was later amended in 1927, most of these acts looked at trees just as a source of timber and revenue. But nobody has accounted for the intangible services that trees give us. We cannot quantify the amount of oxygen it contributes. We cannot actually have a economic value for all the ecosystem services it gives by containing climate change. Say if a complete area has been subjected to deforestation, the effects are multiple. Firstly, the quality of air depletes there. Second one is this fact that soil erosion takes place. And if you have seen in the case of Kerala 2018 floods, soil erosion has been one of the major factor which contributed to such a huge devastation, and it also resulted in economic loss. So is it not justified to quantify all those parameters as well into our accounting? Yes, definitely that's a welcome sign. Even though the Supreme Court's direction to rationalize this cost is welcome, but what is more significant in this entire argument is the fact that we have realized the value of ecosystem services and the need to encapsulate their potential loss whenever we are talking about ecosystem services and the debate of economy and environment. So, this approach is much more effective when we're talking about deforestation. So, that is the gist of this article.